Well, hello everyone. I just wanted to start by saying a huge thank you to Tableau Fringe Festival for having me today. This is actually the first time that I'm ever presenting at TFF, so I am super excited to be speaking to you all today. So I thought I would begin by going back in time a little bit to when I was a child. And I remember always being amazed at how beautiful and intricate my mum's embroidery was. And just always being in awe at how abstract and colorful my older sister's paintings were. And at the time, I just accepted the fact that I would never be able to do anything like that. And art and design just isn't something that I'm good at. And instead, for me, I was more into creative writing. So I loved writing stories and poems, and I actually spent a lot of my childhood doing just that. But if we fast forward a few years, and it was time for me to figure out what I actually wanted to do and what I actually wanted to pursue in, I decided to study computer science at university because I always had an interest in computers and programming. And I've pretty much been on a computer since I was about 4 years old. So I'm basically half machine at this point. So it just kind of seemed like a good step and a good fit for me to go in that direction. But once I actually started, I quickly realized that that wasn't what I wanted to do. And I just couldn't see myself pursuing in that. And I don't know if any of you have ever been through anything similar in the past, but once I graduated, it was honestly such a scary time for me because I didn't know what I wanted to do next. And it was just, I just remember feeling so nervous and anxious. And that uncertainty stayed with me for a while. But then, completely out of the blue, around 2.5 years ago now, I received a phone call from a recruiter who told me all about a little piece of software called Tableau. And I remember as soon as that call ended, I ran to my laptop and I downloaded Tableau straight away. From there, I discovered the Tableau community. And at that time, I had no idea that any of this was a thing. And I didn't know that data could be combined with design and that it could have such a creative side. And all of a sudden, I found myself being excited about design, fonts, colors, layout, everything. And when I look back now to how I used to be and how I would avoid anything design related, and now it's such a huge part of my career. But not only that, it's my favorite part of dashboarding. And I realize now that I just needed to find the right medium to be able to fall in love with design. And for me, that was data visualization with Tableau. And today I wanted to talk to you all about my tips and advice on how you can build your own personal brand using your portfolio, and also what helped me to find my own personal style when it comes to designing vizzes. So, how can you get started and begin building your portfolio? So first of all, there are so many initiatives that you can take part in. And Tableau actually posts the Data Found Weekly Roundup every single Friday. And that can show you all of the initiatives and also the weekly highlights as well. And there really is kind of something for everyone. And you can visualize data about sports or even visualize data about your favorite video games and pop culture. And I've had so much fun in the past when getting involved in different initiatives. And I wanted to show you all an example now. So here we have a viz I created for Iron Quest. Shout out to Sarah, who's on the call right now. A little bit of free advertising for you there. But the theme for this particular challenge was Viz a Year or Decade. And me being a huge fan of movies of the 90s, I created a viz all about the top rated movies of the 90s using some data that I scraped from IMDb. And it's definitely a different kind of way of representing data in a smaller space. And for each of these different movies, I've kind of tried to include in a kind of design element kind of way, the different genres of that movie, or how many awards that movie won, or the Oscars, and so on. And I remember how fun it was to figure out the design for this viz. And I tried to go for an old Hollywood type of feel with the title font. I kind of tried to make it look like a film strip and the kind of spotlights shining on it and the black and white and so on. And it was just a really fun project. And I loved experimenting with map layers on this viz. So there is so much for you to get involved in. And with every single viz that you create, you will be building up your portfolio. So definitely feel free to explore the variety of different initiatives that the community has to offer. Next, we have ask for feedback. Now, I know it can seem scary at first to put your work out there and have people look at it and give their feedback. And I definitely know, and I understand fully because I've been there. In fact, just to tell you a little story, when I first joined the community on Twitter, I actually had to ask my boyfriend to hit the tweet button for me because I was too scared to do it on my own. So I completely get it, but it's so important to remember that the feedback is there to help you. And it really allows you to improve and to learn so much faster. And leading on from that, I thought I would rewind a little bit and share with you my very first viz that I ever created. So let's just kind of look at it, bask in its glory because it's quite something. But this is actually the first draft of my application viz to the data school. And I remember being so excited when I was creating this viz and just discovering this amazing new tool and exploring all of the different things that you could actually do with it. So on here, we have a mixture of filter actions, parameter actions, sheet swaps, every color of the rainbow. There's a lot going on this viz. It pretty much has everything. But I do feel the need to mention the star of the show, which is right at the top there, the 14, yes, you heard that right, 14 segment pie chart. I know, I must admit, I was actually quite proud of it at the time, but I really did learn so much when creating this viz. And I remember when I reached out to get feedback on this viz, even though it was quite uncomfortable at the time, especially when I was so new to data viz and I had never actually received feedback before on a viz, the feedback actually helped me to improve more than I would have if I didn't ask anyone at all. And it highlighted elements of my viz that worked and also parts of it that could be improved, like that pie chart. So do feel free to reach out to the community and ask for feedback on vizes, whether that's through something like direct messaging someone, or maybe you say on your tweet itself that you're open to feedback, or even through something like Makeover Monday Viz Review or hashtag Viz Office Hours. The community is more than happy to help you and to provide that feedback. Next up, we have share your unique voice. You have a unique voice to share with your own experiences and expertise, and you can share that with the community through things like blogging, creating videos, or publishing your work on Tableau Public. We all have our own unique stories, and people want to hear yours. And I can wholeheartedly say that finding the Tableau community and getting involved in Tableau Public completely changed my life and allowed me to find a career direction that I didn't even know existed, and to meet so many incredible people along the way as well. So I highly recommend getting involved and putting your work out there. Now, I also wanted to touch on my tips when it comes to finding your own personal style, and also what helped me when I first started, especially because I come from zero design experience, and I had never done anything design related in the past. So first of all, there is an endless feed of inspiration. And there really is no shortage of beautiful work that will fire off ideas in your head about what you could create. And it also allows you to see what's actually possible in Tableau that you may not have even thought of. And you can follow members of the community on Twitter or LinkedIn and see their latest work on your feed. And whenever I see an amazing viz on Twitter or LinkedIn or Tableau Public, I immediately favorite it. And it means you can create a collection of vizzes that you love, and you can revisit them later whenever you need that kind of spark of inspiration. And something else I really love is the Tableau Public Discover page. And it's actually separated into different sections, including Viz of the Day, which I highly recommend keeping up to date with, because it's such a treasure trove of unique ideas, designs, and techniques that you can learn from. And it also has other sections as well, like trending, business dashboards, maps, arts and culture, and so on. And you'll also notice that there's the current Tableau featured authors dotted along the page as well. So definitely give them a follow. So taking a look at any of these places is perfect for seeing the latest and greatest in data visualization. Now, something else that really helped me as well when I first started was to reverse engineer vizzes. Now, when I say reverse engineer vizzes, by that I mean I would see a viz that I really loved on Tableau Public, and I just wanted to figure out how it was made behind the scenes. So I would go ahead and download the workbook and essentially just start picking it apart and trying to figure out how different parts of it was actually made. So for example, I would dig into the calculations, start tweaking them, breaking them, seeing how it affects the view to kind of reinforce in my head how the calcs are working. Or maybe if there was a bespoke chart type, see how that was made, or even look at the dashboard itself. Was it all made in Tableau, or was there a background image that could have been made in Figma, for example, and so on. And doing this has allowed me to learn so much from other people, and also just the techniques that they used, and even to just discover new and better ways of doing different things as well. And it means you can try out these things in your next viz and continue to build up your portfolio. And that leads me on to my next point, which is examine vizzes you admire. Now, from a design standpoint, this is something that really helped me to kind of break out of my comfort zone and to try out new design techniques. And I would essentially look at vizzes that I had favorited in the past and that I really admired. And I would go ahead and take a step back and ask myself, what makes this viz stand out? So for example, was it their use of chart types? Was it the way they used color palettes, their use of negative space, the fonts, the storytelling? From there, I would maybe pick one or two of those elements to focus on and then try them out in my next viz. So to give an example of where I did this in the past, I remember when I first joined the community, I noticed that so many authors were creating long form vizzes. And I just loved how effective that was for storytelling, to just be able to scroll down and read the viz and kind of watch the story unfold in front of you. So I started trying out long form vizzes and creating them for myself. And if you look at my profile now, it's one of my favorite viz formats, and pretty much most of my vises are long form. So by focusing on certain key areas at a time, you can gradually start to figure out what you enjoy creating. And in turn, that will allow you to form your own personal viz style in the process. Next, we have expand your design horizon. Inspiration is everywhere. And I highly encourage you all to not only look at other vises for inspiration, be inspired by a movie poster and how fonts are used, or an advert and how images are used, or even look at nature and the world around us for inspiration for color palettes. I have so many Pinterest boards for different aspects of design, from fonts to color palettes, layout design, buttons, everything. And I thought I would give an example of when I found something like Pinterest to be extremely invaluable and useful during the design phase of a viz. So here we have a viz that I created for Viz for Social Good. And I actually got the idea for this design by searching for abstract shapes on Pinterest. And it really allowed me to kind of figure out how the shapes might fit together and how they would look, as well as different ideas for color palettes that I could use. And it allowed me to kind of try things out and visualize what the final result would look like. And it was such a huge source of inspiration for me. So do feel free to create little collections of designs that you enjoy and take a look at them whenever you are in need of some inspiration. So by practicing and trying out new things, you'll gradually begin carving out your own unique style. And I really do think that finding your style and building your portfolio will work hand in hand. And the more you create, the more your style will evolve over time, and you'll see how much you will grow as a designer. And when you or anyone else comes across your profile, all they need to do is just scroll down the page and they'll see just how much you have grown over time. So by engaging in the community, sharing your work, and learning from others, you will be able to find your own unique style and build a portfolio that you are proud of. So I invite you all to experiment with design, be inspired by everything around you, and most importantly, have fun along the way. Thank you for listening.